Good evening. Welcome back to Sethatina Newman Live, which is not live, but I'm still here carrying on my goal to help everyone think about what our government is doing. And as many of you know, if you are following me from my previous podcast at gcdnetworks.com, I was running for president of the United States as a write-in candidate. So maybe I didn't look into our government as closely as I probably should have for a while, but within the last 20 years, I have been. And I decided that 2024 needed somebody new. Donald Trump had already been president. Biden had already been president. Kamala Harris, she was a good option, but I still didn't feel comfortable. So I ran as a write-in candidate. With that being said, unfortunately, in my opinion, I was not selected as president, but in Maryland, the tallies and the votes weren't all counted either because my vote still has not shown up on the final results page of the vote counting. Am I upset? Yes, because this is the election. These votes, our votes, are supposed to count. Our votes go towards what the American people want to happen. So in the case of this election, apparently the majority of Americans wanted Trump back in to be president. I'm not sure if it's a good idea. I'm not sure if it's a bad idea. I will say that with his first couple executive orders, I'm 50% pro, 50% against. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I would like to say thank you to all of you who are still following me. Thank you to all of you who are viewing my podcast and the clips that come from those and sending comments. I appreciate your comments, whether they are against what I have to say or for what I have to say, or simply telling me to, quit your whining. He's our president. Get over it. I'm sorry, I can't do that because I believe that we as Americans have the right to voice our opinions. And yes, much of the stuff that I put out there are opinions, but there's also some facts. And so one of my viewers commented on what I said about him surrounding himself or his cabinet. He's surrounded by people who agree with his policies, who are billionaires, which I have no problem with people having money. I wish I had more, but hey, it's okay. My husband has a good career and we do well. But somebody said, well, of course he's going to surround himself with people who agree with him. Why wouldn't he? In one of my podcasts, I actually discussed the fact that I would not be surrounding myself with people who agreed with everything I said. That doesn't help our country. As can be seen on my comments, not everybody agrees with me. And I look forward to that. I look forward to people telling me, hey, I have a different idea. Let's look at it this way. I started that when I was a teacher. If the way that I set up my students' work for them to complete was not working, I look forward to hearing from my assistants, from the assistants that worked with those students. We all took turns with the students, yes. But if something wasn't working, I wanted to know. And if they had a different approach, I was happy to try it. That's what working collaboratively means. And if you're going to be in government, you need to work collaboratively, not dictatorially. Okay. And with Trump surrounding himself with people that agrees with everything he says or are just, yes, President Trump. Yes, President Trump. Whatever you say, President Trump, we will do it, President Trump. Or because they're worried that, as previous presidents, his previous presidency showed and proved, if he doesn't think you're agreeing with him and you're going to cause waves, he's just going to fire you and replace you with somebody else that he knows that will say, yes, President Trump. That's not how our country works. Our country works best when we can get numerous people to come together to look at a situation and say, okay, what are some options to solving this situation? What are some options to helping this situation improve? Not one person's going to have all the best options. So why is he surrounding himself with everybody that's just going to say, yes, sir, President, sir. Yes, sir, President, sir. Yes, he's the commander in chief. Yes, ultimately, he makes decisions and then Congress can decide whether they agree with it or not. But his cabinet should also be able to provide alternatives to his suggestions and thoughts. So, no, I don't agree that he should have surrounded himself with just people that think the same way he does. I think he should have surrounded himself with some diversity. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm not talking about race. I'm not talking about ancestry. I'm talking about thoughts, intelligence, people that of different mindsets. That's what I'm talking about. I think he would be a better president. I think the government would run better if there were more options brought to the table than just, what do you think, President Trump? We agree with you. Way to go. No. So with that being said, please continue voicing your opinions, voicing what you think I'm trying to say, or if you have any questions, please, I look forward to them. I read them and I usually respond. So keep them coming. I appreciate it. So on to the topics that I would like to discuss today. A lot of stuff has happened. We had the inauguration. Was today the 22nd? Yes, we had the inauguration Monday. A lot of people are talking about the Heil Hitler salutes from different people, but I saw a post today that showed that the Democrats did the same thing at different times. It doesn't really matter, It's a tribute. It's like, yes, sir. Okay, get over it. Trump is not Hitler. He's not going to wipe out an entire religion. He's not going to wipe out an entire people. We as Americans won't let that happen. Okay, so it is what it is. My but as I said, coming into this, he has signed numerous executive orders. One of those is about death row. Now, Biden pardoned, and this is federal death row. Biden pardoned 37 of 40 death row inmates. Okay. I don't know why. That really makes no sense whatsoever. I do not personally believe in the death row and the death sentence. Just like I don't believe in abortion unless there are certain circumstances. But death row, I don't think there's any circumstances that requires the death penalty or that the death penalty even helps. Because studies have shown between 1990 and 2019, death row or murders in states that have the death penalty and murders in states that do not have the death penalty. Murders in states without the death penalty are lower than the other states with the death penalty. So the death penalty doesn't keep murderers from murdering. If anything, it just shows the murderers, hey, if you get caught, we're just going to murder you. First, they have to get caught, and then they have to get convicted. Okay, so, and we already discussed all the loopholes that lawyers can find to get their clients out of murder convictions. Maybe it was manslaughter. You're not going to get the death penalty for manslaughter. So honestly, the death sentence does not reduce the number of murders in a state with the death penalty. And actually in 2019, there was a huge gap, a 200,000 murder gap between states that had the death penalty and states that didn't have the death penalty. 700,000. Yeah, 700,000 murders in the states that had the death penalty. 5.3 thousand in states that did not have the death penalty. What did that tell you? Now, from 1990 to 2019, yes, murders have gone down in both states with death penalty and states without the death penalty. They have gone down from like 100 from excuse me, a million murders down to 700,000. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely a difference. But it's not due to the death sentence, because states without the death sentence went from 900,000 down to the 500,000 from 1990 to 2019. So him ordering that, doing an executive order that the federal death row will not be banned, and ensuring that states that do have the death sentence will be equipped with enough medications to perform those death sentences, is not going to change the vicious crimes that on paper can result in the death penalty. It's just not, all the way back to the Wild West. You hang somebody, well, guess what? Somebody else is going to come along and they're still going to murder. They're still going to jack the train. They're still going to do things that ultimately resulted in the death penalty, resulted in being hanged. It does not stop criminals who are going to be criminals. It's just not. What's going to work? You have as good a guess as any of us. But that is something that needs to be explored. What is going to work? Because our prisons are overrun. Lawyers are able to get people off on technicalities, and then the criminals just go out and commit crimes again. Some people actually get out of prison, try to get a job, aren't able to get a job, so they commit a crime just to get back into jail, where they have a roof over their head and food 3 times a day, and they don't have to worry about clothing and warmth and the main necessities. That is really sad to say about our penal system. Going to prison is supposed to be a punishment. So somebody's going to get out of jail after their sentence or on parole and do something so they can get put back into jail because they can't survive outside. What does that tell you? That our penal system is not a penal system. It's nice and cozy. So yes, something needs to be done, but I don't think it's making sure that death row is a mandate. The death sentence is a mandate. So that's my take on his first executive order. He has written out that there are only 2 genders. This one I kind of agree with. I understand that people do have sex changes. I understand that too, that they feel they're, trapped inside of the body of somebody that they're not. Okay. That is that person's feeling. That is how that person feels. But yeah, once you're a woman, you're a woman. Once you're a man, unless you have that sex change. In that case, you're a woman or you're a man. You just switched them. Okay? So be it. But they're still men and women. This next one, I don't agree with. He is writing a policy to leave the World Health Organization because we provide more than our fair share of money to the organization. Apparently China, that has many more people than what the United States has, contributes a fraction of finances to what we provide. Why? I don't know. I don't know the World Health Organization's financing. I don't know why they determined that we need to pay more and China doesn't have to pay it. I don't know what other countries pay. But that's not a reason to just pull away from a world organization that has helped with so many different diseases and is researching so many different diseases and has provided vaccines for so many different diseases that has helped our country and the people of our country. RSV is one area that I saw a video, a doctor talking about the different areas that the World Health Organization has been working on that Americans have benefited from. The RSV vaccination has shown that if mothers take the vaccination while they are pregnant, 61% of the fetuses of those mothers do not get sick. Of the 39% that do get sick, 71% of that population is not hospitalized, because the vaccine that the mother takes is then passed on to the child, and that child is protected for the first 6 months of their life from RSV. Okay. Is it 100%? No. No medication, no vaccine is 100%. It doesn't work 100%. My grandson had RSV. I don't know if my daughter took the vaccination. I will have to ask her, but he's fine. He got the virus, he was taken care of, and he's fine. But would it have been better for him to not have gotten it? Sure. None of us want our children to be sick. None of us want infants to be sick. They can't tell us, and we have to figure it out. But leaving the World Health Organization is not going to be beneficial to the United States. Sure, we have our own researchers. We do our own research. But as I've said in previous podcasts, why not combine everything that we've learned with other countries that are doing the same research, so that we're not duplicating? Let's work together to come up with cures for these things. If India finds that an herb is keeping their people from getting cancer A, well, that's awesome. Pass that on. And then the researchers in other countries can try the same thing and see if that helps. There's research going on everywhere. There's research going on in every country. Sometimes one research will reach numerous countries at one time. They'll have people in all different countries, all different walks of life, to find out, does this medication only work on people in country A because their dietary benefits are different than country B? America is notorious for high-fat products, fast food. India is notorious for their curry. Asians are notorious for their vegetables and their rice. Is it dietary that's making this medication work? Or is it actually the medication? The only way to figure that out is to have a research study done in all the different countries with all the different dietary options available to people. That's when you're going to find out if something works or not. We leave the World Health Organization, we're not going to have the research of those other countries. We're not going to have the knowledge that those other countries have. We're not going to be part of those studies to find out, is there a medication that's going to help alleviate a disease? Is that good for the American people? My opinion, no, it's not. It's not. We struggle here in the United States with many things, with many diseases that people of other countries do too. That's why there is a World Health Organization, so that we can work together to take care of these things. And then he talked about, or he signed an order for classifying drug cartels as terrorist organizations. I would say that based on the definition of what terrorism is basically terrorizing somebody, a people, a person. But whether they're really a terrorist organization, I don't think that really goes under the global definition of terrorist. Yeah, they're terrorizing our people by giving drugs to, by selling their drugs, by getting their drugs out into our communities. It is a terrifying epidemic that is going on. And yeah, I think that the cartels are passing that, making sure that their drugs are needed and that their drugs are available, just like a terrorist organization makes sure that propaganda goes out about who they're terrorizing. But they're not really a terrorist organization. They are a criminal organization, definitely. They are definitely a bane of existence on our population. But a terrorist organization? No. No. Because if they're a terrorist organization, then he can use the military against them. That is what we have the DEA for. Okay? We have an organization already set up to monitor, to attempt to control, to bring down the people who are selling these drugs and bringing these drugs into our country. Does it need to be a stronger force? Absolutely. Do we need to look for different ways to control and to stop these drugs from coming into our country? Absolutely. The military is not the way. But by making them a terrorist organization, he can then use the military against them, which in turn uses them against the American people that are working for those drug cartels. So slowly he's putting in situations that he will be able to use the military against the American people, which goes against our Constitution. Is he the best person for the American people? We shall see. So thank you very much, everybody, for checking in, seeing how everything's going. Those of you who are praying and sending best wishes for Paul, part of our GCD network, he is still not out of the woods yet, so please keep sending those prayers. I thank you. I will be here next week, and continue following me on Instagram, YouTube, X, and TikTok, since TikTok is still open. Thanks a lot. Take care. Keep an eye on our government, and everybody, please stay safe.